He stole her idea and left her pregnant. 2 years later, she bought his company and had him arrested. They say betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from someone you love. And for Alyssa Grant, it wasn't just a heartbreak. It was a theft of her life's dream. Once a talented software developer from San Francisco, Alyssa believed in love, in partnership, and in a man named Ethan Cole, a man she thought would change the world with her. Together, they dreamed of building a revolutionary tech company that could transform online payments for small businesses. But dreams can turn into nightmares when trust meets ambition. Ethan stole everything: her code, her investors, her future, and when Alyssa discovered she was pregnant, he turned his back without hesitation. Alone and humiliated, she disappeared from Silicon Valley, leaving behind the headlines that once called her the next big thing. 2 years later, the world would see something even bigger: her comeback. But no one, not even Ethan himself, expected that the woman he betrayed would one day own the very company he stole. Now, she's walking back into that same boardroom, pregnant, poised, and unshaken. And when their eyes meet again, everything stops. The air inside Cole Technologies' boardroom was tense, the kind of silence that follows power. Ethan Cole sat at the head of the table, his expensive suit pressed sharp, his voice steady as he briefed his executives. He looked every bit the visionary the world admired, confident, untouchable, and adored by investors. Until the door opened. A woman stepped in, calm, composed. Her black heels clicked softly against the marble floor. Every head turned, and then froze. Ethan's jaw tightened. What are you doing here?" Alyssa Grant smiled, the same soft smile he once said he loved. But now it carried power. "I believe I own this building," she replied, sliding a document across the table. The executives exchanged confused glances. Ethan snatched the paper, scanning the signatures, the corporate seals, his face paling with every line he read. "You can't be serious," he muttered. "Oh, I am," Alyssa said quietly. 2 years ago, you stole my idea. Today, I bought your company." Ethan stood, voice cracking. "You don't belong here." She met his eyes, unwavering. "I do now." The room fell silent. Only one truth remained. The empire he built on lies now had a new queen. 2 years before that boardroom moment, Alyssa Grant was just another dreamer in a small San Francisco apartment. Laptop open, empty coffee mugs scattered around, a heart full of hope. Her code was her world. She believed technology could help small businesses grow, a payment platform built for everyday people, not corporations. That's when she met Ethan Cole. Charming, magnetic, and persuasive, he believed in her instantly. Or at least, that's what she thought. "I'll get us investors," he said one night, leaning over her screen. "You keep building the magic. We'll change the world together." She smiled, tired but glowing. "Promise, promise," he whispered, kissing her forehead. Days turned into nights. They worked side by side, laughed, dreamed, and built what would become the foundation of their future, or so she believed. When the first investor meetings began, Ethan insisted on handling the paperwork. "It's just business," he said. "You focus on what you do best." Alyssa trusted him completely, too completely. She didn't notice the fine print. The new registration. The ownership transfer filed quietly under his name. Love made her blind, but ambition made him dangerous. Launch day was supposed to be magic. The San Francisco conference hall buzzed with lights, cameras, and applause. Banners read "Cole Technologies, reinventing the future of payments." Alyssa stood backstage, her heart pounding, clutching the speech she'd spent all night perfecting. "Are you ready?" she whispered to Ethan, who adjusted his tie with a grin. "More than ready," he said, walking toward the stage. She waited for him to call her name, to step out together, to share the dream they built. But as he began to speak, her smile faded. 2 years ago, Ethan said, "I had an idea that would change the world." "I had an idea." Her hands trembled. The crowd cheered. Investors nodded, impressed. She waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. Her name never came. When the signing ceremony began, Ethan took the pen, signed the deal, and smiled for the cameras, alone. Alyssa stepped forward, whispering, "Ethan, what are you doing?" He didn't look at her. Emotion doesn't build empires, Alyssa. Strategy does. And with that, he turned away. The applause roared. The cameras flashed. And in the middle of the celebration, Alyssa's world went silent. The headlines hit the next morning. Ethan Cole's startup valued at $200 million overnight. Alyssa sat on her apartment floor, laptop open, tears sliding down her face as she scrolled through the photos, his smiling face beside investors, champagne in hand. Not a single mention of her name. Not one. Her phone buzzed. Ethan. She hesitated, then answered. Why? She whispered. Because you were slowing me down, he said flatly. I needed people who could think big. I built that code, Ethan. You. It's done, he interrupted. Take care of yourself. The line went dead. That night, Alyssa collapsed on the bathroom floor, dizzy, sick, trembling. The test lay beside her, 2 blue lines. Pregnant. She stared at it in silence, her tears drying into resolve. She tried reaching out for help. Old colleagues avoided her calls, investors turned cold, and Ethan's lawyer sent her a warning letter. Any false claims will be treated as defamation. So, she packed her laptop, sold what little she had, and left San Francisco. At the bus terminal, her friend Monica hugged her tight in the rain. Where will you go? Alyssa whispered. Someplace he'll never think to look. Chicago was colder, quieter, and honest. No luxury offices, no flashing cameras, just grit. Alyssa rented a 1-bedroom apartment above a bakery, its walls thin but warm from the ovens below. By day, she freelanced for small tech firms, debugging code to pay rent. By night, she built again, this time for herself. She called it Arcadia Systems, a platform that helped mothers working from home manage digital payments and clients with ease. It was everything he ignored. Practical, empathetic, human. When fatigue hit, she'd rest her hand on her growing belly. We'll make it, baby girl, she whispered. Just you and me. Her old friend Monica called every week. You sure about this? I have to do something good with the pain, Alyssa said. Otherwise, it wins. Months passed. Her nights turned into lines of code and quiet victories. Then one evening, a knock on her door changed everything. A man in a simple gray suit stood outside, introducing himself as Lance Holloway, an early investor who once turned down Ethan Cole. I've been following your new work, he said, smiling softly. You're onto something big, Alyssa. And this time, it's yours. A year later, Arcadia Systems was no longer just Alyssa's late-night project. It was a movement. Small businesses across the Midwest used her software to manage payments and connect with customers securely. Her inbox overflowed with testimonials from single mothers, shop owners, and freelancers thanking her for giving them hope. Lance Holloway sat across from her in a small cafe, his smile proud. You've built something honest, Alyssa. Something that solves real problems. She nodded, sipping her coffee. It's not about revenge anymore. It's about redemption. Still, part of her couldn't forget. When Arcadia was featured in a local business magazine, the title caught eyes far beyond Chicago. One morning, Lance rushed into her office holding his phone. You're not going to believe this, he said. Ethan Cole just mentioned you on CNBC. He called your software a copycat product. Alyssa froze. He knows? Lance smiled faintly. He knows. And he's worried. For the first time in 2 years, Alyssa laughed, not in pain, but in power. He should be, she said. Because I'm just getting started. The grand ballroom of the global fintech summit shimmered with lights and ambition. Every major investor, journalist, and CEO filled the seats. On stage, Alyssa adjusted the microphone, her confidence calm and magnetic. Her company, Arcadia Systems, had just partnered with a national bank, her biggest deal yet. She presented with grace, her voice steady. Technology should lift people up, not shut them out, she said. The audience applauded. Then she saw him. In the back row, Ethan Cole. Perfect suit. Cold stare. His jaw tightened as her name echoed across the hall. Alyssa Grant, founder and CEO of Arcadia Systems. After her presentation, he approached, smirking. Didn't take long for you to crawl back into my world. She smiled politely. Oh, Ethan, this isn't your world anymore. It's mine. Cute speech, he said. But let's be clear. Arcadia wouldn't exist without what I built. Without what you stole, she corrected. His smile faded. Be careful, Alyssa. She leaned in. I stopped being careful the day you left me. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned closer. The headlines wrote themselves before the conference was even over. That night, Alyssa couldn't sleep. Ethan's words echoed like poison. Be careful. But she wasn't scared anymore. She was done being careful. Lance found her in the office at 3 a.m., surrounded by folders, flash drives, and old contracts. You're digging into his records? He asked quietly. Yes, she said. I worked on those systems. I know how he moved the money, how he faked the code registrations. It's all there, hidden in plain sight. Weeks passed. Alyssa and Lance built a quiet legal team. Accountants, investigators, and one brave former employee from Cole Technologies who still owed her a favor. They uncovered emails, patent files, even the original source code, stamped with her signature. Monica couldn't believe it. You're really going to expose him? Alyssa smiled faintly. No, Monica. I'm going to free myself. By the time her lawyers finished compiling the evidence, the case was airtight. Ethan's empire had been built on stolen work, hers. When the documents were ready, Alyssa slipped them into a sleek black folder labeled Cole Technologies, Internal Fraud Investigation. And the next morning, she walked straight into his headquarters. The boardroom was packed. Executives lined both sides of the table, murmuring as Ethan entered, confident as ever. He didn't know Alyssa had called the meeting. When she stepped in, silence swept the room. Ethan smirked. What are you doing here again, Alyssa? I told you. She dropped the black folder on the table. The sound cracked through the air like thunder. You built your fortune on lies, she said. He chuckled. This is ridiculous. Alyssa opened the folder and slid documents across the table. Patent records, bank transfers, emails, timestamps, all proving he had stolen her code and falsified ownership. You used my intellectual property to secure investor funds. That's federal fraud, she said calmly. And the SEC has copies of everything. One executive whispered, Is this true, Ethan? His face went pale. You don't understand. No, Alyssa interrupted. They understand perfectly. Security guards entered moments later with 2 federal agents. Ethan's composure cracked. You set me up, he shouted. Alyssa stood tall. No, Ethan. You set yourself up. As the agents cuffed him, the same cameras that once worshipped him now captured his downfall. Alyssa turned, her voice steady. Let's rebuild, with integrity this time. The following week, the world watched as Ethan Cole was escorted out of a Manhattan courthouse in handcuffs. News outlets buzzed. Tech mogul arrested for fraud. Former partner exposes scandal. But while the headlines shouted his downfall, Alyssa stood quietly behind a podium outside her company's new headquarters, Arcadia Tower. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned in. One voice called out, Miss Grant, is it true you're expecting? Alyssa smiled, resting a hand on her growing belly. Yes, she said softly. And I'm also running a billion-dollar company built on honesty, not greed. The crowd erupted in applause. She looked into the cameras, her voice steady and warm. This isn't just my victory. It's for every woman they tried to erase, every dreamer they tried to silence. You can lose everything and still rise again, stronger, smarter, freer. Behind her, Monica and Lance watched with pride. The sky above Manhattan shimmered gold as Alyssa turned to face the future. No longer the woman who'd been broken, but the one who had rebuilt herself from dust. She smiled, whispering to her unborn daughter, We did it, baby girl. And this time, the world finally knew her name.